Good evening and welcome back to Prime of Midlife. It's Saturday evening and this evening we are talking about professions. Now, be warned, this may be a bit longer than usual, so feel free to get yourself a drink, get yourself a cup of tea, because I'm having a thing. So, to start off with, let me tell you a story. This is about professions and trades. Now, in my day, if you wanted to be an electrician, a plumber, a joiner, a mechanic, etc., you had to do an apprenticeship. And that was pretty rubbish wages. um, but you did 3 years with a journeyman, a tradesman, a fully qualified tradesman. And once you had done those 3 years, then you were an electrician, a joiner, whatever. And you could either work with a firm or you could start up yourself. And that is how we knew that these people were properly trained, because they'd been 3 years working with someone who'd been a professional tradesman for quite some time, because you couldn't just start signing off people if you had only just qualified yourself, as far as I know. So that's what I know an electrician as. If I'm getting someone to change the lights, put in sockets, take some wiring, get some lights in my shed or something, I think of an electrician. Now, there was a time a few years ago, over a decade ago now, where trades were starting to be a problem. There was a shortage of trades. And what had happened was apprentices got treated rubbish most of the time, got a lot of pranks played on them. But what happened was apprentices' wages were dreadful. And they started realising that they could have a much better job, much better working conditions, much better wages, much better advancement opportunities if they maybe went and became a bus driver, or if they went and worked in a store, because within a couple of years you could be an assistant manager at a store or a hotel or something like that. So people stopped going into apprenticeships as much. And eventually, the UK government decided, in England anyway, that they would offer a new course. And this course was a domestic installer. Now, a domestic installer is able to put a new circuit in your house, so they're allowed to run wires all around the room, or take the lights out to the garage, put new sockets in, etc. I don't know if they're able to rewire a full house. I would be lying if I said I did, but certainly they can do a lot of the domestic stuff. Now, I have just been online. I googled domestic installer in the UK, and there's a 3-week course. This 3-week course is 5 days in the centre and then 5 days online doing another course and 5 days online doing another course. And then you have 3 multiple choice exams. Now, for those of you who don't know me that well, I am really good at that type of learning. I have passed industry exams. I am really good at retaining information short term. And Patrick, Kathleen, my workmates, they have no doubt that I could pass a domestic installer's course without a problem. They do, however, have a real problem with thinking they would let me loose on their house on the electrics. Wonder why. So, in England, if you're looking for someone to put up new lights or change the sockets in your sitting room. You can have someone who's fully qualified according to the legalities, who's just done a 3-week course, 1 week in the school, 2 weeks online, and they're qualified. And instead of just calling themselves domestic installers now, they're calling themselves domestic electricians. They're not electricians. But what this has done is it's meant that the government is not desperately trying to find apprentices. It means that there's less of a shortage of people working on electrics. They don't have to try and find as many electricians, because what they've done is they've split the job. They've split the job so that these people who are domestic installers can do the small household work. You don't need a fully qualified electrician to do that. So that therefore leaves the fully qualified electrician to do the big stuff like rewiring a house, putting new stuff in new homes, updating wiring that's through old houses, etc. Or solving problems in hotels or factories, etc. Your fully qualified electricians can do that. And your domestic installers can do the little piddly jobs, for the real people. That's what happened there. Something similar happened with plumbers. You now have plumbers, you have gas-safe plumbers, or you have gas-safe technicians. They separated plumbers and gas-safe. So you don't need to be a 3-year apprenticed plumber to be a gas-safe technician. So your plumber can come into your house and put in all your plumbing and all your water and all your stuff, but you can get your gas-safe technician to do the boiler if your plumber isn't already gas-safe, because many of them are. And the reason I'm telling you this is I had a look at the NHS, this new 15-year plan, and I'm a bit wary. Because yes, they're saying we're going to bring in so many members of staff, we're going to train so many doctors, train so many nurses, etc. However, there's going to be a new level of staffing. There's going to be a new level of clinicians. Yeah. Now, I wrote them down just so I would remember. So instead of a nurse, you will have a nursing associate. Instead of a physician, you will have a physician associate, an anaesthesia associate. You will have advanced practitioners, and you will have approved clinicians. Now, that obviously to me, as soon as you start splitting this, because Patrick is the electrician who worked in London for so many years, I know all about this Part P and splitting the expertise. And this seems to be exactly what they're looking to do with the NHS. So you've got, at the moment, we've got your healthcare assistants and we've got your nurses. And now what they're doing is they're putting an in-between to make a nursing associate. Physician, they're putting someone, before you become a doctor, you become a physician associate. So you don't need to do your full doctor training. An anaesthesia associate. Advanced practitioners. Now, what they said about this one was you could have an advanced practitioner. So this will be like a radiographer who's not actually a radiographer, but he'll be signed off by a proper radiographer. Approved clinicians. These are clinicians who do maybe emergency, they do mental health, they do specialising in certain things like breast cancer. And the example they gave for advanced practitioners was advanced practitioner dietitians. So if you have to go and see a dietitian, instead of going and seeing the fully qualified doctor dietitian person, you will see the advanced practitioner. And they've trialled this, and it meant that there was 600 less doctor's appointments needed because they went to see these advanced practitioners. And they reduced oral supplement prescribing by £70,000. Now that set alarm bells ringing. That's what they're going to do, try and cut the costs before you even get to see a doctor. However, that is bad enough. So yes, you have these nursing associates, physician associates, etc., and they're going to be overseen by a proper doctor, a proper anaesthetist, a proper radiographer, as in fully qualified in the old school sense. However, just let me tell you another story before I finish. Patrick lived in a council flat in London, and they were coming in to rewire some rewiry stuff. They came in to do electrical works. They didn't know Patrick was an electrician. So these two guys came in and they were going to use, do you know the white stuff, the trunking? And Patrick's like, you're not putting trunking all over my house. This is how you do it. And he showed them how to do it with small holes, coat hangers, and, put a wee bit of plaster on. So his house had no trunking on it. And the other houses that these two boys went to had no trunking on it. The other people who got the other electricians, because there was like 100 flats in this block, so there was like 3 groups going about, and they all had trunking everywhere. So Patrick being Patrick and being the electrician's like, where's my certificate? You need to sign off the certificate. Oh no, it's not us that does that, mate. It's the guy. He'll be round with it shortly. And he's like, all right, so he's the electrician. Aye. So these people employed by the council did all this work, and it was signed off by an electrician who never set foot in Patrick's flat. He sat out in the van and signed all the certificates. So this is what is making me wary about this new NHS. I mean, don't get me wrong. I originally, once they started nursing, to get into nursing you had to have a degree. I wasn't overly happy with that because I know people who are fantastic and caring and are not by any manner of means stupid. But a degree is a step too far for them. And they would have been brilliant nurses. But they're not allowed to do nursing now. They're only allowed to be healthcare assistants. So now we've got this next step for these people, which is great to have these nursing associates. Yes, I think that's great to have that ability. But not at the expense of training nurses, please. And not at the expense of training radiographers and anaesthetists and doctors and paramedics and cancer specialists, etc. So yes, that is my wee story for tonight. And that all this 15-year plan for the NHS sounds fabulous, and how many more staff they're going to bring in, which is fabulous. But when they say staff to us, we think nurses and doctors. We don't think practitioners, associates and clinicians. So it's not going to be the same as we're expecting. It's going to be a lot of people less qualified, supervised by someone. Because, and as far as I'm concerned, it basically comes down to this: until they start paying the staff what they are worth, they're never going to get the staff they need. And I will just drop the mic there. Catch you later.